Things are getting laughably bad for Marvel and DC as yet another manga outpaces one of their flagships, with Batman going down before One Piece. That's right. Now, what makes this really, really embarrassing and should be a wake-up call to the American comic book industry is One Piece. It's relatively new, doesn't have that many chapters. We'll go into this more in just a moment compared to Batman, but hey, that's not a problem. That's not a problem at all. Now, of course, the people in charge of these companies, here's Joe Quesada, for example, used to be the CCO of Marvel Comics. Now he's the EVP, Creative Director of Marvel Entertainment. They tell you the numbers out there, they're great. There's nothing wrong with our industry. They gaslight again and again. Now, what's really telling about people like Quesada is they don't even check the sources that they're sharing, because if they did, well, you'd notice things like this. Numbers, they're going up because manga sales took off. You also have that same source indicating that new comic book sales, they were down by 20% throughout the year. But hey, everything's good, right? It's gravy, baby. I mean, after all, look at all of those American comic books charting in the top 20 adult graphic novels for June 2021. Oh wait, there aren't any. That's right. Yep, first you have Demon Slayer come in, not only sell well, but outsell the entire American comic book industry for 2020. That should have been embarrassing enough. But no, you have to have this come up too. You and I, we're going to talk about all of that today. Buckle up, because this, it is such a funny, fascinating ride. So hey there to all you fine folks on this fine day, by the way. If you would, share this video. Make sure you comment, like, all of that good stuff. It feeds the algorithm. And if you would subscribe to the channel, that would definitely help out. Thank you for all of that too. Now, as far as One Piece goes, comparing this to Batman or anything from the Western comic book industry, it's not trying to diminish it in any way. We're talking about a brand that came up in 1999, and now we see by 2019, One Piece, it ends up hitting a 450 million mark. 2 years later, climbs all the way up to 490 million copies sold worldwide, with 400 million copies of that they're circulating in Japan, and 90 million other copies circulating overseas. I mean, this is a franchise that will bypass 500 million copies relatively soon. Now, when you compare that to Batman, first of all, remember, Batman has been around since 1939, so it's a staple on not only the comic book industry, but so many other industries as well. And the numbers, even though they're very, very respectable, and then some, you're still only talking about 484 million copies being sold globally. Now, to really put this into perspective, and you'll notice the Batman numbers, the approximate sales, they haven't been updated yet, so you do have additions on that. But again, to put this into perspective, 1939 to 1997, One Piece, 99 issues. We're talking 1,000 chapters, around 67 books. Compare that to the number of issues with Batman, and this number's higher than this, by the way. 14,000 issues with Batman in it. Again, a lot more than that, I'm sure, on the market. Yeah, what a comparison, isn't it? If you look at that through the 2020 lens, here you have Batman items created. This is single issue items, by the way. You'll notice the best one here out of 17, it sells 88,735 units. Again, you compare that, 99 issues, almost 500 million copies sold. Oh, yeah, you were talking about getting outpaced embarrassingly so. But again, have all these people in that industry telling you everything. It's just fine. What makes this even worse is when you get into those more appropriate sales parallels, comparing collected volumes. I mean, these are trade paperbacks sold, again, with Batman in the name alone. Batman is on a lot of other things, but Batman in the name alone, you have 4,606 estimated units being sold, with the best-selling item here, again comparing 67 volumes selling almost 500 million copies. Now, when you bring all of this up, you get gaslit by people like Tim Seeley here. Tim Seeley, he will preach to you all day, every day about how comics are great, how about the sales are going well. Comic book stores, they're faltering. But hey, graphic novels, they make make up 20% of the adult fiction unit sales within the first 6 months of 2021. Therefore, something has to be going right, and it's the comic book industry doing it, so you don't know what you're talking about. The thing is, when you look at the sources these folks share, this is Tim Seeley, what he's sharing there. Let's just read this together and see how much the American comic book industry makes up this. The big story in adult fiction was the strength of the graphic novel format. Unit sales soared 178.5% in the first half of the year, rising to 16.2 million copies sold, making graphic novels the second largest adult fiction subcategory. Graphic novels made up nearly 20% of the adult fiction unit sales in the first 6 months of 2021, compared to 9.3% last year. Viz Media was one of the biggest beneficiaries in graphic novel boom. My Hero Academia, Volume 26, was the top adult graphic novel for the first half of the year, selling more than 90,000 copies. Other volumes in the My Hero Academia line sold well, including Volume 2 at around 82,000 units and Volume 1 at 81,000 units. Demon Slayer, also by Viz, sold 82,000 units. Another title by them, Attack on Titan, it sells 80,000 units plus. Again, when you look at this, do you see anything about Western comic books? No, you don't see anything about that at all. But when people bring this stuff up, because Western comic book pros, they denigrate their audience, they create terrible, shoddy products as well. These are the kind of answers you get. And of course, you're going to have buzzwords added to this, because that's the way you try to diffuse this, especially on Twitter. Quote, comic book store sales are up. Of course they're up. They've been closed for almost half a year. How do they not go up? Bookstore comic sales are up. Same thing. How do they not go up? There's a huge amount of diversity in the genre and content. You know what? Bleep you all. I'm going to be pleased for a moment. Yeah, you're going to be pleased because you're not helping the industry along. You've been gaslighting people for years. But you know what? You're going to take credit for another industry that's basically drowning the thing you're in. Bravo there, right? Bravo. And I know there's always somebody out there that says, well, that's not the company speaking that umbrella guy. That's not Marvel and that's not DC. Well, you know what? Their management says the same thing. Again, Joe Quesada, he goes out, he gaslights all the time. He puts out fake information, fake numbers, so these people, they can continue with their bad behavior. That's why, at the end of the day, that industry over there, it's going to outdo Western comic books. Western comic books, they're not on a decline. They're going to have to restructure everything they are, and you know whose fault that is? It's these people's fault. And hey, bravo to that. We've been saying that for years.